Hare Krishna. Kartal? Kartal? Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming today. Today we'll have a small kirtan. After that we will go with discussing about actually Sri Ramanujacharya today. So, and then after that we'll have Prasad as Prabhu discussed. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So, before we begin today's discussion, so actually today is an auspicious day. It is the Tirobhav Divas, or the Samadhi day, or the disappearance day of Sri Pad Ramanuja Acharya. How many people have heard of Ramanuja Acharya? Give you some names here. Okay, thank you. So we'll discuss briefly his life, his teachings, and his glories. Uh, Now, Sri Ramanuja Acharya comes in the Sri Sampradaya, which is one of the Vaishnava Paramparas. So before we start discussion on him, let us understand the importance of Parampara as given in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Sri Krishna. So please repeat this nice verse from the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that, hey Arjun, spiritual knowledge comes in parampara, means in tradition, from a spiritual master to a disciple, starting from Lord Krishna himself. So in the Sri Sampradaya, it is coming from Krishna to Lakshmi Devi and following on to the parampara in the all various acharyas. So let us go back to understand the life of Sri Ramanujacharya, or almost like 1,000 years back in the year, we're talking about around 1017. So in a town of Sri Perumbudur in South India, there lived a Brahmana couple. The husband's name was Sri Keshav Dikshitar and the wife's name was Kantimati. And they used to live a life dedicated to serving Lord Vishnu. They did not have a child after a long time after marriage. So her husband, he was an expert person in doing yajnas. So he did a yajna at the Pasari temple near in Chennai, Triplicane. So there they did the yajna and they prayed to the Lord, oh Lord, please give us a child who will serve you and propagate your glories. And their prayer was answered. In the year 1017, in the month of April, a beautiful baby boy was born to this wonderful couple. This Kantimati's brother, his name was Shaila Purna. He was a great Vaishnava and he was a disciple of Sri Yamunacharya, who was the leader of the Sri Vaishnavas at that time. So Shaila Purna was living, he actually comes to Sri Perumbudur very happy that he has got a nephew born, and he's also an astrologer. So he looks at the charts of the child and he says that this child has very auspicious chart. He is actually an expansion of Lakshman himself. And Lakshman is the younger brother of Ram, which means Ram Anuj, Chota Bhai, younger brother. So they call him Ramanuj. So that is his name they give him. The younger brother of Ram is Ramanuj. So this baby boy is called Ramanuj. And with time the boy grows and he becomes a very, very brilliant, he is very brilliant in his studies. He grasps everything that is taught to him very fast. His father himself becomes his teacher because he is also learned in the Vedas. So Sanskrit and the Vedas, the father teaches him. Now this boy becomes a young man, he is 16 years of age. Now father wants to get him married and they get him married to a beautiful girl in their neighborhood. Her name is Raksha Kambal. And then they were living happily for some time. However, within a short few months, the father passes away from this world. And then this family is gone into grief and they say, okay, my education is done, Ramanuja thinks. I want higher education, which is not available in our neighborhood. So we moved to the nearest big city called Kanchi. So they moved to Kanchi. And in Kanchi there is a famous scholar named Yadav Prakash. And in his school, Ramanuja enrolls himself for learning more about the Vedanta Sutra, which is the higher level understanding of beyond the Vedas. So once he enrolls there, he is very nice student. Teacher is very happy with him. He does all the duties nicely, studies well, and there is a very good relation between the teacher Yadav Prakash and student Ramanuja. However, at that time, the theory of impersonalism was prevalent, and Yadav Prakash was a follower of the school of thought, of philosophy, which do not agree with the Lord's personal presence. So hence, Yadav Prakash used to interpret lot of Sanskrit verses in a very, very impersonal way. For example, one time, Ramanuja was massaging his feet, and a student comes and then he asks a question from the Chandogya Upanishad. There is a verse which states, Kapyasam Pundarikam Evam Akshini. So Yadav Prakash actually gives a very, very derogatory interpretation of this verse. Then Ramanuja says, my dear teacher, actually he starts crying. He has tears falling from his eyes. He says, what happened, Ramanuja? Why are you crying? He says, my dear teacher, you are so respected, but such a nice verse, you gave an explanation which is not befitting the glory of the Lord. So he becomes very angry, Yadav Prakash. He says, what, do you think you know more than me? What do you explain? Explain to me. Then he explains that this verse means that the Lord's eyes are like lotus petals which are blossomed by the sun. So when he hears that, Yadav Prakash is not very happy. He says he is trying to go against what I am teaching. After a few days, again another incident happens. There's one more verse which says, this is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So again Yadav Prakash explains this as, this means the supreme absolute truth is knowledge, is truth, as well as it is unlimited. Again Ramanuja says that this actually means that the Lord has his attributes. In your explanation, you are trying to take away the Lord's personality. So again Yadav Prakash says, this boy will one day probably become my rival because he is going against what I am teaching. So let us try to get him out of the way. So we'll try to kill him. So he tells all his some disciples that one day we'll go for a trip to Kashi to take the bath in the Ganga, and there we will kill this boy. So then they all set for this pilgrimage to Kashi, and on the way they actually stop at one place. They take around kind of 2 months to go there. So on the way they kind of stop there, and there they're discussing how they can actually get rid of Ramanuja. So while they're making this plan, Ramanuja has gone out to get something in the forest. His cousin also in the same school called Govinda, he overhears their plan, and then he comes and tells Ramanuja. He says, Ramanuja, they are trying to kill you. Go away from here. Then Ramanuja says, oh, why will they try to kill me? But anyway, if you heard it, I believe it. So he tries to run away from that place. As he goes away, he's kind of lost because it is a wilderness. So there he finds that spends the night. The next day, he's praying to the Lord, oh my Lord, please help me get home safely. So at that point of time, in the next day, he finds a hunter, a couple, a husband and wife, and they ask them, I want to go back to Kanchipuram. Do you know the way? They say, okay, yeah, we are going same way. Please follow us. So they go together. After that day, the evening, they are resting. The next day when they get up, they tell him, we want some water. Can you get some water for us? So then he goes down. He finds a well nearby. He gets water from there, gives them. They say, can us give more water? He goes back again. And this time he sees some people. He asks them, which city is this? Oh, you are in Kanchi. Oh, I already come back home. Within one night, I took 2 months to go there. But on the way back, I came back in one night. He's kind of completely puzzled. He says, let me go and tell this to the couple. When he goes there, he finds the couple is not there. They have disappeared. So then he understands, oh, it was Lakshmi Narayana himself that came, and they came to save me and brought me back home. He's very full of gratitude and emotionally choked up. He cries and he says, oh my Lord, thank you so much for bringing me back home. When he comes back home, his mother is surprised. Oh, you came back home so soon? You're supposed to come after 6 months. Then he explains the whole story. Then they say, okay. Then after some time, the whole trip is back, they are again back home. Yadav Prakash and his team comes back to the school, and they are kind of surprised to see that Ramanuja is still alive. They thought some animal killed him. Anyway, he again joins the school back. Meanwhile, there is more disagreement, and then finally, the teacher says, Ramanuja, you leave this school and go away from here. I don't want to teach you anymore because you don't agree with me, and hence you find on your own how to study. So Ramanuja comes back home, and then there is nearby in the city there's a nice temple of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and the deities is called as Sri Varadraj Swami. So there he starts going, and he meets a devotee called Kanchi Purna in that temple. Kanchi Purna was a great Vaishnava. He was able to actually speak with the deity one-on-one. That was his, his level of purity. So he is very happy, Ramananda is very happy to see Kanchi Purna. And he starts serving him, and he asks him, will you become my teacher? Kanchi Purna says that I am actually a person who is not even illiterate at all, I don't know anything, but you are a great scholar. I can become a teacher, but what you can do is, you start serving Lord Varadraj. You bring him water every day. So then he says, okay, I'll do the service. So then he starts getting water for the Lord every day. And with that service, he's kind of unhappy. After some time, he understands that he needs to study on his own more. So then he kind of starts thinking that how do I increase my service? So he again approaches Kanchi Purna. Meanwhile, in Srirangam, that's where Yamunacharya is living, they come to know that Ramanuja has left the school of Yadav Prakash. So Yamunacharya is getting elderly, he is almost 100 plus years old. So he starts saying, he states his disciples, please go and get Ramanuja here so that he can study under me. So then he sends one disciple called Mahapurna. Mahapurna is on his way. It takes around 3 to 4 days to go from Srirangam in the south to Kanchipuram in the north. So he's traveling, and then in the meanwhile, actually the health of Yamunacharya is falling down. So when Mahapurna reaches Kanchi and he meets Ramanuja, he says that the Acharya is calling you to meet him. Can you please come now? He says, oh yeah, let's go right now. So they start from Kanchipuram and they go to Srirangam. But on the way, when they reach Srirangam, they find that there are so many people gathered around the ashram of Yamunacharya. So they ask, what happened? They say, oh, Yamunacharya actually passed away. He was so sick, his health became very bad suddenly, and he left this world. Now, where is he now? Now they have taken the body to the Kaveri river for doing Samadhi. So they immediately rush there, and they find that Yamunacharya is lying down. And for the first time in his life, Ramanuja has darshan of Yamunacharya. He is kind of feeling so sad in his heart that I was not able to have proper audience with this great saintly personality. My whole life I have wasted. And then he's praying. At the time he observes that the hand of Yamunacharya is actually having 3 fingers. They were clenched. They were not straight. So he starts thinking, why is it like this? So he prays, and then he learns, and he speaks these words. He says, "O all devotees assembled here, you can see that our great Yamunacharya, he had 3 unfulfilled desires which he couldn't fulfill, and that's why his 3 fingers are clenched. I take a vow today that I will fulfill his 3 desires. Number 1, he says, I will dedicate my life to serve Lord Vishnu and preach his glories and benefit humanity." When he says that, one of the fingers of Yamunacharya opens. He says, second, I take a vow that I will write a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra which will establish the glories of Lord Vishnu. When he hears that, the second finger opens up. He says, finally I take a vow that to honor the great sage Parashara Muni, who is the author of the Vishnu Purana, I will name a great Vaishnava with the same name. Third finger also opens up. So all of them realize that he is our new leader. So then Ramanuja goes back to Kanchi, where he continues his study and service to Lord Varadraj. After the 1-year anniversary, they realized that we need Ramanuja actually in Srirangam. So they sent again a devotee called Mahapurna, that you go and make him your disciple and bring him to Srirangam. So Mahapurna leaves his place in Srirangam and goes to Kanchi. In Kanchi, Ramanuja is, 1 year he studied more, he does more studies, but he has questions after studying the various scriptures. And he says he doesn't have a guru, he doesn't know whom to ask. So he goes and asks Kanchi Purna, I have these few questions after studying scriptures. can you please ask your Lord, Varadra Swami, to give me the answers, since you can talk to God directly. It's okay, I will try. So that night, Kanchipurna, he approaches Lord Varadra Swami. He says, "Oh my Lord, Ramanuja is your devotee of yours. He has few questions. Can you please help?" The Lord replies, Lord Varadra Swami replies, the deity replies, "I know what is the question out of the questions of Ramanuja. So please listen and convey to him carefully tomorrow." So the Lord gives the answers. "Aham eva param brahma jagata karana karanam." That I am the same supreme Brahman and I am the cause of the whole material nature jagat. Second, kshetrajna ishwaror bheda siddha eva mahamate. There is a difference between the jiva, which is kshetrajna, and Ishwara. They are always different. The living entity and God, they can never be the same. Third doubt, moksha payo nyasa eva janana mukti michatam. Anyone who wants liberation from this cycle of birth and death should take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Number 4, mad bhaktanam jananam cha nantim asmritir ishyate. My devotees, even if they don't remember me at the time of death, I remember them, and it is okay if they don't remember me. Which means, like the Lord says that if my devotees don't remember me when they die, but I remember them, whatever they've done throughout their whole life. Next the Lord says, Deha vasane bhaktanam dadami paramam padam. That when my devotees leave their body, I personally take them to my eternal abode. And finally the Lord says, Purnacharya Mahatmanam Samashraya Gunashrayam. Ask Ramanuja to take shelter, to take Diksha from Mahapurna. When the next day Ramanuja comes and asks, did you ask, Varadra Swami, did you ask, what is the answer? He says, yes, the answer is, he gives all the answers. Ramanuja is so thrilled in ecstasy. He says, all my doubts after reading the Vedas and the Vedanta Sutra is now clear. I have a clear vision of what the Lord has given me. But the action item now is to go to Mahapurna and take from Diksha from him. He says, okay, right now I will go to Srirangam. So he starts on his way from Kanchi going to Srirangam. On the other way there, even Mahapurna, they decided that yes, Mahapurna and his wife, they are coming on the way to meet Srirangam, to meet Ramanuja in Kanchi. So they meet on the way, they meet on a midway. And there then Ramanuja is so happy to see. He says, I was still coming to Srirangam to meet you. So don't worry, I was coming to meet you. So kind of we meet here. And there then he takes Diksha from Mahapurna. And then he says, can you please come to my home, stay with me, and then give me some your teachings. Mahapurna says, okay, yes. So then Mahapurna and his wife, they follow Ramanuja to his house and they start living with him. And there for 6 months, Ramanuja learns the various hymns of the Alvars, which are part of the Sri Vaishnava tradition. And Ramanuja is very happy to hear that from his Guru Mahapurna. After some time, there is some disagreement between the wife of Ramanujacharya and a wife of Mahapurna. And Mahapurna says, okay, now I'll go back to Srirangam. And he comes back. Ramanuja is thinking now that it is time for me to give up my comfortable household life and become a sannyasi. So he takes care of his wife's needs. He gives all his wealth to his wife and arranges for her to go to her father's place. And then Ramanuja takes sannyas with the help of Kanchipurna. And he gets a new name called Yatiraj. So this way, Ramanuja is now a young sannyasi and he gets lot of followers. He becomes very famous. People want to hear him because he gives a very good explanation on the Vedas. So he becomes so glorious that Yadav Prakash, his prior guru, he hears of him and he says, oh my God, I did in my ignorance, I made so many offenses to Ramanuja. I was kind of punishing him. He comes and he falls at his feet and he says that I want to become your disciple now. So this way, he is very happy. Ramanuja says, don't worry. Yes, he gives him a new name called Govindajir, and he tells him that to counteract for their old offenses, you write a book which glorifies the qualities of all devotees. So this way we find Ramanuja is now an Acharya, and he now requested by the devotees that now please move to Sri Rangam. So then he moved to Sri Rangam and he continued study under Mahapurna. One day, Mahapurna tells him that, my dear child, I want you to go to a devotee called Goshti Purna and learn a very important mantra from him. He says, okay, I will go. But he lives in a town which is a little far from Srirangam, so please go to him. So Ramanuja then goes to Goshti Purna. But when Goshti Purna sees him, he says, no, I am busy today, you come some other time. Ramanuja goes back home. Again goes after some days. My dear Guru Maharaj, please give me the mantra. He says, no, today also is not a good time, come again. So this way for 17 times, Ramanuja is kind of sent back home. But Ramanuja doesn't give up. In fact, he's thinking, what is lacking in me that this great sage is not giving me his mantra? What am I lacking? So he prays to the Lord and he becomes very, very despondent. When he goes for the next 18th time, by that time, Goshti hears from other devotees that Ramanuja is very despondent, that you are not giving him Diksha, his mantra. So please help him now. So this time, Goshti says, okay, you have passed the test. I was testing you that how desperate you were to get this knowledge. So then he gives him this mantra called, and he says, this mantra, don't give this to anyone. Keep for yourself, because this mantra will actually give one access to the Lord's mercy and they will enable them to go back to Vaikuntha. Ramanuja, when he hears this, he goes back from there towards his home. He is thinking, if this mantra is so great, why should I keep this to myself? Why should I not share with this whole world, even though my Guru has told not to do so? So Ramanuja then goes to the nearby temple. He goes to the tower top and he starts telling, everyone, please assemble here, please come here. Today I will give you a great treasure, which will make you free from all lamentation and hankering, and which will enable you to go back to Godhead, and it will make your life pure. Everyone thinks, yes, yes, please. Are you ready? Everyone says, yes, Haribol. Then he says, please repeat after me. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. After everyone chants the verse, they all feel that, they feel, yes, we are so happy that Ramanuja has given us mantra. They feel that they are in Vaikuntha. Now this news goes to Goshti Purna. He is furious. He is enraged. He calls for Ramanuja. He says, Ramanuja, you lover of the mankind, what have you done? I told you specifically that don't give this mantra to anyone, but you went and publicly announced it. Do you know what is the punishment of that? Ramanuja says that, yes, my dear Guru Maharaj, I understand that because of my offense of disobeying you, I will go to hell. But I am a very insignificant person. Even if I go to hell, it is not a big deal. But it helped so many people get access to the Lord's mercy. To me, that was more important, that how can these people who are suffering can get access to Lord Vishnu's mercy. And hence, I took this risk and I did this. When Goshti Purna hears this, his whole heart changes. He says, I am really amazed by the amount of compassion you have. I was angry at you, now the whole thing has changed. Now it looks like you are my Guru. So much compassion, only somebody who is so dear to Lord can have. And then this way he embraces Ramanuja, and Ramanuja comes back to the Srirangam temple. So this way Ramanuja is able to fulfill the first promise he made to Yamunacharya. Now he says it's time to work on my second promise, to write a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Now to write that commentary, he needs the original script, which is stored, which is not accessible. And there is a commentary of Bodhayana Vritti, which is the commentary on the Brahma Sutras. So then he says, where is it available? It is not available. It's available only at one place, which is called Sharada Pit in Kashmir. He says, okay, let us go there. So he takes one of his disciples, Kuresha. So both Ramanuja and Kuresh, they have the journey from Srirangam, south, to all the way the north part of India, Kashmir, and they want to get that text. So that it takes, I think, for them a few months, 3-4 months to get there. Once they reach there, the people there are very happy to see him. They have a debate and they're happy to hear Ramanuja. But when he tells them that I want the book, he says, no, we cannot give you the book. He says, okay, the book is actually eaten by worms and it is lost, so it's not there, not even there. So please, you can go back. So Ramanuja is there, he's in that night, okay, he says, I'll go back tomorrow then. He's sleeping that night. Now, on that night, he gets a vision, and actually, Saraswati Devi herself comes, personally Sarada Devi, and then she tells him, Ramanuja, take this book I have got for you and get out from here ASAP, as soon as possible, otherwise they will take this book from you. So after hearing this from Saraswati Devi, Ramanuja and his disciple Kuresha, they take the book and they immediately leave that place. The next, so okay, they go, they are almost a month down, they have taken some time. These people realize that, oh, the book is gone, we don't have the book. So they immediately chase some people after it and send them and find the book. All these people come here, they're able to get Ramanuja, and they says, the book is with you, please give us. Of course, honestly, they say, okay, take the book. Now they are thinking what to do, the book is gone. Kuresha says, Gurudev, don't worry. Every night, I actually read the book and have it completely memorized. Give me a few days, I will write down completely. I'll do a download of the whole thing. And from his memory, he gets a full download. He writes the book, and then they now go back to Srirangam. And there Ramanuja is able to write his full commentary called the Sri Bhashya. And in that commentary, he establishes the philosophy of Visishta Advaita, where he says that the Jiva is different from the Supreme Lord, which is against the philosophy of the Advaita philosophy. So he has his own philosophy now. And using this commentary, Ramanuja is able to have debates all over India. He starts traveling from Srirangam he goes to Kerala, Trivandrum. From there they go to Maharashtra, they go to Dwarka, then they go to Mathura, from there to Jagannath Puri, then they actually come back to Tirupati, and again back to Kanchipuram, Srirangam. Everywhere Ramanuja has debate with all the scholars, the devotees there, and able to convince them of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and make them Vaishnavas. So this way he is able to fulfill the second promise he gave to Yamunacharya. For his third promise, his disciple Kuresha is a householder and his wife is Andal. They are a very nice couple. They have 2 children, and Ramanuja gives the names Parashar and Vyasa. And this Parashar actually goes to become the next leader after Ramanuja. So this way Ramanuja is able to fulfill all the 3 vows that he made for his to his guru Yamunacharya. While this is happening, there is a change in government in the place where they are living in Srirangam. The new king is against Vaishnavas. So hence there is threat to the life of Ramanuja. When they understand this, Ramanuja and his disciples, they leave Srirangam and they actually go to a nearby place called Melkote, which is in Karnataka, Mysore. And there they spend almost 12 years, after which this king passes away and there's a new king who is favorable to Vaishnavas. While Ramanuja is living in Melkote, he again has many followers. He makes a new temple there called the Temple of Yadavadri. And when he's leaving there, people are very sad. They say, oh, our Gurudev, you are leaving us. What will we do without you? Don't worry. He tells them, create a deity of mine. They create a big deity of his, and he actually gives it, he says, this is my deity. So whenever you have any difficulty, come to this deity and worship here. You will get all your answers, questions answered. So they are very happy, and they tell him, okay, Gurudev, please, thank you for all your instructions and guidance. And then Ramanuja comes back, leaves Melokote, and comes back to Srirangam. In Sri Rangam, he stays for few more years. He is now getting aged, his age, and he is now 120 years old. And now he says, it is now time for me to go back and leave this world. He calls all his disciples and tells them, my dear devotees, it is time for me to now go back. Please, I want to give you some final teachings. Now remember these for your life, and this way you will always be dear to Lord Vishnu. He says, he gives a lot of teachings. I'll share a few of them. First one he says is that worship all Vaishnavas the way you will worship your Guru. The second he says, have faith in the Acharyas. Number 3 he says, do not grieve over your present life. Your present life is a result of your past karma, and hence there is don't spend any energy grieving over current problems. Further he says that do not be the slave of your senses. By cultivating spiritual knowledge, you will be able to get over your control your mind and senses. And then he says, chanting of the holy names of the Lord are your way to get his mercy. And finally he says that devotee service is higher than serving the Lord. So always give priority to serving Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Seva is of utmost importance. So after he gives all these teachings, he says, he goes back to the spiritual world. So this way, if we reflect on Ramanuja's life, we find that his life was full of detachment from matter and having unflinching faith in Lord Vishnu. He emphasized to serve Vaishnavas, and he also gave the example of compassion. He took the risk of his own life and showed his compassion to all the living entities. He also showed great humility. Even though he was a sannyasi himself, he used to take lessons from Mahapurana, from Goshti Purana and other devotees. He showed that one should always be humble regardless of what you achieve in life. So this way we find Ramanujacharya left this legacy for all of us to follow. So on this great day, let us pray for this great soul to give his mercy upon us, so that we can also imbibe his qualities and follow his teachings. Shripad Ramanujacharya ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samasta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. If there are any comments or questions we can discuss. Yes, there's a question there, I think. Sorry? What, can you repeat? Why always? Vaishnavas? When we, serve everyone, but when we serve Vaishnavas, they have something to give us, which is Krishna's blessings. So when we serve everyone, of course we get blessings, but when we serve a Vaishnava is able to give what he has. When you serve someone, you get something that person has it. When you serve a rich man, he will give you money, right? He has money, so he can give you money. When you serve a poor man, he will give you blessings. When you serve a Vaishnava has Krishna in his heart. He will give you Krishna. So that is the value of serving Vaishnavas. So yeah, serve all, but the value of serving a Vaishnava is that you get Krishna's bhakti. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.